Hey everybody, welcome back. Psychedelic here. Hope you guys are doing well. Hope you guys didn't miss the special video yesterday. If you missed it, you're a loss. You lost a lot of great content there with me just kind of spontaneously rambling. Here's just kind of a spur of the moment kind of video where shared my thoughts on RSD. As you can tell, they're pretty strong. I put a lot of time and effort into that acting method. I'm just a method actor. Anyways, yeah, it's just kind of a throwaway video. I got it privatized for now, but hey, if you go back on my channel, 4 months from now, I might put it public again. But today I am back to share a vinyl update finally. There's definitely one big one here. Well, I mean, there's a couple great ones here to talk about, and then one is a gift from an artist who sent me his release, but also gifted me with one of his records that he was upgrading to, and then something I found in the shop for under 10 bucks from the local shop. So that is what's on the palette for today. So we're going to start off with this one. This is one that I spotted on eBay. I've been kind of laying off eBay lately, and the price was just about right. I was kind of skeptical considering that VG Plus to this seller is considered many light marks, and I'm like, okay, what does that mean? It didn't give me any further details. There was only one stock photo of this. Maybe you guys witnessed it on eBay, but I was like, I can't let this slip through this time, because this record's literally been on my want list for a decade. It had to have been by now. And Discogs, pretty much all the reissues are either out of print severely or they're just blocked on there. So I had to pick this one up. The Human Instinct, stoned guitar, baby. This came out in 1970 originally. And this is the, what is it, Tapestry? Yeah, Tapestry label reissue. I don't know if they're a legitimate reissue label, but they do pretty decent quality reissues, even if it is a bootleg. But I think the only other Tapestry record I have is the Aggregation, that record, and sound quality is pretty decent, I'd have to say. And this is phenomenal, man. If you guys love that acid scorching fuzz guitar inspired by Hendrix, this is going to be way up your alley. So they primarily had like 3 really strong releases starting out. Their first album, which is pretty much blues based, and then this is kind of like their magnum opus, their middle album. And then their one after this one, Pins in It, which I haven't heard in a long time, but I do remember liking it. That's pretty much the core of this band's output that you want to listen to. I think they've released like maybe 3 after that in the mid-70s, which are kind of forgettable from what I recall. But yeah, man, this is one of New Zealand's strongest acts as far as like this style goes. It's basically a power trio, but there are some other people involved as well. 3 tracks on each side, 6 tracks total. And I'd say like the middle piece of the album with the title track, Stone Guitar, it's an instrumental piece. Just got this wailing feedback wall of distortion going on. It's really, there's nothing else like it that I've heard, with Billy TK on guitar. And then Jugga Jug song, written by Jesse Harper. And then the following track, Midnight Sun by Jesse Harper. It's like a 10-minute piece. I'd say those are like the strongest tracks. And Jesse Harper, I don't think he was ever part of this band, but he was, like friends with them and let the band use his compositions here. And he's released an album on, well, years later on like Kissing Spell, and I think later the Acme label, which I still need to pick up on, is also very blazing, hard rock, acid rock kind of stuff. But this is phenomenal, man. It does say baritone sax on Midnight Sun, except I don't remember that part. But there is like one acoustic cut on here on side 2, which is decent. Then they end the side with a track by The Taste originally, Railway and Gun. So yeah, overall, it's a little on the blues tinge, but not too bad. It's primarily like a hard rock, heavy psych kind of effort here, and I wouldn't say so much stoned as it is like really lethargic, acid fused feedback, distorted stuff. This is phenomenal. Check out the title track. It's definitely the one that lured me in initially back in 2013, 2014 when I heard this. So I'll get a shot of the label here. I think Tapestry, they all have kind of the same design, but yeah, it may have a few light marks, but it does play VG+, so I guess he wasn't entirely off. So this next one here, this is from the artist, like I said, that sent me a couple records. He's a Facebook friend, and he's part of this group I have called Psychedelic Situation, where we kind of post daily psychedelic records, and I always have like, kind of just started back in like July or August, started doing weekend themes. Got this from a buddy, and he was upgrading to original here of the free design. Kites Are Fun. He basically just shipped this to me. You know, I paid $5 shipping, but gave me a great deal, and this is still a pretty solid copy. I never see this band's material around. They're not really a band, I guess, as they are much like a vocal pop group, with a lot of backing session musicians from around the NYC area. It's very floaty. It's just some of the most perfect vocal-driven sunshine pop of its ilk, man. There's nothing quite like this, and it still holds up really strong today. I mean, it doesn't sound too dated. You know, Stereolab is kind of one of the inspired artists that, you know, look up to this group really highly as far as like their vocal approach. And the title track, Kites Are Fun, is just whimsical pop at its best. And then it just gets stronger from there. Make the Madness Stop. It's kind of a more light pop site kind of vibe on that one. My Brother Woody, Umbrellas. They do a few cover songs, which are decent. Michelle, I'm not too big on, but 59th Street Bridge Song is probably my favorite of the covers. And yeah, it's basically a family pop group. You know, it's like a trio here that of the Dendrick family. Is that right? Yeah, Dendrick. I think they're also based out of New York City, so I think Dick Hyman has his hand in this one as well as a few other well-known session musicians. But the percussionist on here, what's his name? Bill, what's his face? Bill Lavorgna? Bill Lavogna? He's a pretty famous, you know, jazz percussionist. I think he's the strongest backbone of this record and their sound overall. He just really skates along, just glides along those sort of like atypical rhythms throughout. It's just really fascinating to listen to. Just hear them playing off of their harmonics, you know. It's really fascinating. And I also kind of like the Project 3 label. Kind of an underrated label. Just to kind of gander at, and just their whole promotion of like their total sound stereo. So yeah, it's got the hype sticker on the front as well, which apparently is not too common, but it's pasted on there. And so if you haven't heard this group and you're looking for some like whimsical, kind of floaty sunshine pop of its class, this is it. Definitely a group to look into. Get a shot of the label here. Project 3. Yeah, it plays really well. I think there was one track that had a few cracklies, but you know, it's kind of to be expected, you know, for its age. So I don't know if the artist himself wants me to release his name or anything. He kind of seems like more of a, like he wants to keep anonymous. I'm not sure, but just based on, you know, how minimal this project is and stuff, I'll just go by his artist name. But this is Secretflowers, 0 Point Redux. This came out in 2022. And, you know, not too bad quality for being kind of a, well, I don't know how limited it is, but it's definitely an independent release here. And as you can see, it opens up this way with the art design this way, with the spine being up top. So Secretflowers I haven't listened to the rest of his material, but I guess it gets a lot of terms thrown at it like dream punk and vaporwave, which I'm not too familiar with. I know it's kind of relating to more ambient, kind of more of a throwback to like 80s nostalgic sounds from the past, you know, and kind of reusing a lot of loops and sequenced patterns. And that's pretty much what this is. I'd say it's very quiet. It's a very quiet record, first off, but it does have a lot of textures, even though there's not a whole lot going on. Stylistically, musically, I mean, it's not even really music. It's more like just a cerebral experience, you know, something to kind of just drift into and get lost in. I can't really throw any comparisons right now, but there's one ambient artist I've been listening to a lot, Klaus Reese or something. He's got kind of a similar style back in like the late 80s, early 90s. I forget his name, but it's very similar in that vein, that it takes you kind of to a more spatial area. Like I said, just kind of drones along, but this is definitely the kind of ambient music I love. So this definitely was a nice gift, and I was kind of surprised, you know, with you just never know what to expect with ambient music, because I can be very particular when it comes to this style. And the sound fidelity is really great. This is a nice pressing here. So thank you again for gifting me with this. You know who you are. And yeah, hopefully we can do some trading later on. I don't have any doubles or anything of interest, I don't think, as of right now. So I just haven't been making any sales lately on Discogs this year. It's been really slow, so I'm just kind of struggling at the moment, just not finding anything. But I will leave a link in the description so you can check his music out. I think it's on Bandcamp, so definitely want to do a little promotion here and say, if you like this sort of thing, this is it's definitely my thing. You ought to check the rest of his material out. So thank you so much, man. And then this last one here, this is one that I kind of came to really late, actually. I mean, I've always known about this one, and I know the artist fairly well. I've heard his other record on Elektra, but I guess just the whole front cover kind of just like, you know, wanted me to back off from it. Just with its whole colonial sort of artwork design, and I just didn't know what to expect, and I didn't know it was going to be this good. And by good, I mean funny good. This is a really interesting record. So it's David Peel and the Lower East Side of the American Revolution on Elektra. This is a pretty cheap record to come by. This was like right at 10 bucks. And I didn't realize how punk this sounded. This was awesome. I gave it a listen at work, and I was like, man, this is really catchy. It's got some great hooks. You know, it's kind of basic, like, he's basically doing like these kind of rhythm and blues, but just kind of in a more punk sort of aim, kind of like what the Fugs would do a little bit during their psych period. But this is way cool. And some of these songs really get stuck in your head. I mean, just looking at the track's title, you know, Legalize Marijuana. And you got, yeah, the Lower East Side. The first track's really catchy. Oink, oink. This is definitely, this had to have been a party record back in the day, man. This is just so cool. You know, it's not like something I'm going to listen to all the time, but this was a fun listen. I was just having a heyday listening to this. Very much a, I guess you could say, protest, but it's like in a very satirical manner. You know, very much socio-political advertising going on here, but man, this was a fun experience here. So yeah, I was just kind of surprised to see it in the shop. I think I had seen it in there before, just like I said, that cover. I just want to get away from colonization as far as possible. So yeah, man, that was a nice treat there. So I always think of Matt Sands when I see that record, because I've seen him posted on my group before, and then he's also shared it in, you know, whatever Vinyl Finds that was. And I've heard his album Have a Marijuana, but I was kind of like, oh, this is too novelty-esque for me. And I guess he's had some involvement with John Lennon. I just couldn't believe how like proto-punk this sounded for its time. You know, I think this came out in 1970, so it's a little late. It does feel kind of late too for its time. It kind of sounds more like 68-ish to me, but yeah, it was a fun ride. Anyways, guys, that about wraps it up. So tonight I'm going to be DJing at the Storm Cellar here in Lincoln, so I invite y'all to come over. Lincoln is so littered with psychedelic record collectors, it's unreal. I'm joking. But yeah, it's been a great experience so far, playing at that bar, and I think my buddy will come over and see me play tonight if he makes it, but otherwise, yeah, I didn't play this Wednesday at the bar. Something else was happening. People are doing podcasting now at the bar, which I don't know how to feel about that, but I think that's all I have to share. Check these titles out, and we will see you in the future.